Welcome to this week's episode of the 12squared podcast. Today's guest is Ishaan Hiranandani. He's a crypto investor, and we talked about his motivation to join crypto and make the world a better place for those who do not have self-custody of their funds. Welcome to this week's episode of the 12 Squared podcast by BaseNote. Today's guest is Ishaan Hiranandani. He is a crypto aficionado and a current investor in DeFi, and I'm so glad that he is here with us. Ishaan, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Felix. Excited to chat with you.
So when we talked a little bit before the show, we talked a little bit about how you got into this crazy scene of crypto, and I got the feeling, from having done multiple episodes like this, that the ways into crypto, the motivations behind going into crypto are so vast and so different across, freelancers and other people. So how did you get into this? What's your crypto story, so to say?
Yeah, definitely. For me, I first heard of blockchain in high school, but didn't really dive deep into it. But the motivation behind it started off when I heard that my grandparents, when they immigrated from Pakistan to India post-partition, they wanted to immigrate and take their money. So they went to the banks and asked, can we have our money? We want to leave. But the bank said, no, you're not the right religion. And that's when I realized the importance of self-custody, because they lost everything in the process of trying to live in a land that doesn't persecute their religion, that treats them for who they are. And no one should have to go through that. And while it didn't strike me that blockchain was the right answer then, as I grew, I started seeing more similar scenarios. Farmers in Venezuela losing 10 to 20% of their money every year due to hyperinflation. Or you see people across the globe who just don't have the same access to opportunity of investing in startups or getting the same financial means, because we're broken apart by this fragmented system that divides us into countries and separates us, when the internet makes the world kind of more global.
Yeah, I think there are different worlds right now. There is one world in which countries exist, and which they basically say, okay, those are our rules, and in which they're very keen on enforcing those. And then there's also right now, I think, a parallel world of citizens just trying to engage in their normal business, and they don't really care where they are, and they don't really care who they do business with, as long as they're trustworthy and they give they offer something of value. And I think that blockchain is just the best way of facilitating trade in the second world, the latter world. So what are you doing currently in crypto?
Yeah, currently I'm investing at Jump Capital. So excited to be working and seeing the forefronts of DeFi and DAO infrastructure, especially in the Avalanche and Near ecosystems, and also building a bit on my own. So exploring the Solana ecosystem, Rust, Anchor. It's been interesting to play around with that.
Yeah, it's very dynamic. It's very dynamic fields currently. So you said you worked with like before the show we talked a little bit, and you said you worked with PayPal crypto, also Ava Labs. What did you do there?
Yeah, so worked mostly in product at PayPal Crypto and Ava Labs. And at PayPal Crypto, we were working on a digital identity product just to make user experience more seamless. Can't talk about that too much. But at Ava Labs, most of my work was centered around Avalanche Rush, which is the liquidity incentive mining program. So you've probably seen a huge influx of talent and knowledge and just headspace around Avalanche, the ecosystem. And
Yeah,
so we were working on the marketing side of that.
cool. So that's kind of your job part. But I would also make the distinction that, blockchain enables us to use it in both the professional way and also in the I would say private way or whatever. So how do you use crypto in your private life, in your daily life? Do you invest or do you receive, for example, payments in it? What's the use case for you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sort of a DeFi degen when it comes to blockchain, just because there's so many new financial innovations happening, right? I mean, flash loans, perpetual futures, none of these were available or even existed until a few years ago. So I love exploring these on a lot of different chains. Most recently, I've been playing around with Drift protocol on Solana, which
Hmm.
is a perpetual futures market. And so finding arbitrages between funding rates and leading to delta neutral strategies it's like a fun game to play around with.
Yeah, so you basically use it in your daily life to invest, I would say. Um, is there any uh like how many like different, you don't have to disclose like how what are you holding, but like how many different coins are you holding at a certain time? It's,
Oh, that's hard. Maybe at least 30, probably less than 50,
wow.
spread across many chains.
Because many chains, also many exchanges, or how do you, you said self-custody at one point, that that how do you first of all store them, and how do you keep track of everything?
Yeah, it's honestly quite a pain. I do believe in self-custody, but personally do use Coinbase as a fiat on-ramp, and
Yeah.
especially when trading small amounts, it doesn't make sense to pay Ethereum gas fees. But other than that, have wallets across MetaMask, Polygon, Avalanche, Solana, Near, recently something called Moon River. And I don't say I have the best system to manage all of the things I play around with, but I have an Excel spreadsheet, and every few months or so, I'll say, "Hey, market's been good. I should really keep track of what I'm doing." So
Yeah.
it's an excuse to look at all of my assets, see what's done well, what's not, and just rethink what's the future of DeFi.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't have a I would say like a real time account, balance or anything like that, right?
No, what I found is that most of the products out there aren't very good because uh A, they don't track across many chains like I have, and B, it only tracks what's in your wallet. But say you're interacting with a perp platform, a perpetual futures platform,
Mhm.
it won't be able to see what you've deposited in there. Or sometimes LP tokens don't always show up, which is kind of confusing. Uh, so I haven't found a good solution just yet.
Yeah, I mean, we're based on, we're obviously trying to solve exactly those issues, especially real time balances and everything like that. That's kind of a vital part of our offering. Um, you are somebody, like, you strike me as somebody who has deep knowledge in crypto, and you know exactly what you're doing. How did you accumulate that knowledge? Or would also, like for our listeners, what could they do to just accumulate that knowledge?
Yeah. I think I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means, but I think there's two main ways that I and most of my friends have gone about learning about crypto. Uh, so the first is definitely going to be your standard reading about protocols just because it's fun talking with people. But while I think that's important, I think it should honestly come second. And what most people should be doing is saying, okay, take $100, $1,000, and start and start a wallet and just start playing around with different DeFi dApps. And if you ever don't understand anything, there's documentation to help you. There's Discords that you can ask a bunch of random questions in. No one cares if you're asking stupid questions in Discord because we're all here to build a new financial system. One or two small stupid questions is not going to hurt along the way. So
Yeah,
just get active.
it's not going to bring the whole thing down. Yeah. Um,
Exactly.
I definitely agree. That's usually how what I also say, like tell my friends. It's get some crypto and then see how your how now with skin in the game, how fast your learning is, because it might seem pretty daunting, like a daunting task in the beginning to just get that knowledge, understand the terminology at times and stuff like that. But I think once you have skin in the game, your learning gets like so accelerated. So I found that fascinating. Um, I want to pick up on something you just said, the new financial system.
Mhm.
And this is also motivation why I got into crypto, more from the philosophical side, more into seeing the deficiencies of the current monetary system. What do you think is the potential of crypto when it comes to the monetary system? How can it empower just the general public, and also which groups are especially empowered? Like we're talking about the unbanked or etc.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think there's many sides to this, and happy to talk about the underbanked. That's the reason why I got into crypto is that I realized that not so many people don't have a bank account, and I think it's something like on the order of 2.5 billion,
Yeah.
but almost 2 billion of those people have a smartphone, have access to the internet. So with these new tools, why can't we give them the same access to under collateralized loans, to new opportunities that are only available through the internet, like remote work, uh, that enables them to join this global financial system, like I was saying before, and enables them to compete on a more global level. One guy who I love to listen to, Balaji Srinivasan, he talks about a not just a global financial system, but a global education system where we distribute content virtually. And people learn, and when everyone is allowed to learn the same material, the best people rise to the top and they innovate the quickest, the fastest, without any sort of discrimination. And then when you need a task to be done, you open it to the general public. And the people who are the hungriest, who are often underlooked, underbanked people in the Philippines, children in India, people who don't have bank accounts in Africa, they step forward and they'll really surprise you.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful vision. I think most people do not yet understand that, once we create this network, the ladder network, the ladder world I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, and that we are on the brink of creating an environment, a global market in which, it doesn't matter where you're from or how you look like, what you believe in. It's just that how well suited are you to give value to your fellow men or women. And that's just beautiful, in my opinion. And also, I would say it also gives a lot of power back. It gives a
Mhm.
lot of power back to the individual. You talked about Venezuela. I think this is one of the most striking examples of the last couple of years. Just giving the person who is currently in trouble for no fault of their own, giving them a little more agency, dignity. I think that's an important one.
Completely.
That's I guess I don't have to ask the question which I usually like to ask, like, what's your vision? Because I think we outlined the vision pretty clearly, pretty
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah.
Um, so tell us a little bit, before we wrap this episode up. First of all, about the projects that you're most excited about,
Mhm.
and then our listeners where to find you.
Okay, definitely. So the projects I'm most excited about by far are under collateralized loans. So when you think about under collateralized loans, it's actually a pretty difficult problem because everyone is pseudonymous and they can run off with money.
Yeah.
And so a few projects that I'm looking at in the space are ArcX, which is a digital identity platform. It tracks your reputation in a single wallet over time,
Mhm.
and that enables you to kind of grow a reputation. And now staking you're not just staking some money as collateral, you're also staking your reputation, and you can lose that if you decide to rug an under collateralized loan. And a second project is actually called Sentiment. They're kind of in stealth right now, so I won't shed too much light on what they're doing,
Yeah.
but they're providing a new way to provide under collateralized loans.
Cool. Brilliant. So now to your person, where can people find you? Where can people also reach out to you if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course. You can find me constantly on Twitter. I'm at Ishaan0x on Twitter. Always tweeting, always responding to people. My DMs are open, so happy to chat with anyone.
That's great. That's great. We'll obviously link you there in the description below this video and also on the different podcasting platforms. Thank you so much for being here. This is such a I would say at times we need this little bit of optimism in our daily lives, and I think this episode really got me very optimistic about the future of crypto and the financial system. So thank you for that. Thank you for taking the time. And also thank you to our listeners and viewers for giving us their time today. Next week, we will be back with another very interesting freelancer talking about crypto experiences. So everybody,
Awesome.
thank
Yeah,
you
thank you
and
so
have
much,
a great
Felix.
time. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.